right, audio test in here. All right, I think I'm set up now. Can you guys hear everything okay? Those of you that have popped in. Oh, here we go.
Hello and welcome. I'm Greg Brockman.
I'm Mark Chen. I lead research at OpenAI.
There are some models that feel like a qualitative step into the future. GPT-4 was one of those. Today is also going to be one of those days. We are going to be releasing two models, o3 and o4-mini. These are the first models where top scientists tell us they produce legitimately good and useful novel ideas. We've seen great results in law. Talking to one of my coworkers yesterday, he said that o3 came up with a great idea for system architecture. It's like we haven't really seen anything like this. And the thing that's really amazing about these models is that they're not just models, they're really AI systems. We've trained them to use tools, which is not something that we had done with our previous reasoning models. They actually use these tools in their chain of thought as they're trying to solve a hard problem. For example, we've seen o3 use like 600 tool calls in a row trying to solve a really hard task. And we're going to be making these models incrementally available starting today, rolling out as quickly as we can in our API and ChatGPT. And one thing that's very near and dear to my heart is their ability in software engineering, and not just producing sort of one-off pieces of code, but really working in real code bases. I found that these models are actually better than I am at navigating through our OpenAI code base, which is really useful.
Definitely
really,
better than I am.
That ship has sailed for me a long time ago.
Yes. But it just helps you get so much more done. And so we're really excited to bring these to the world and see what you will all do with them.
The reason we're so excited about tool use is that it makes our reasoning models that much more useful and that much smarter. Just as you might use a calculator to solve a difficult math problem, or you might use a map app to navigate through unfamiliar streets, our models, when paired with the right tools, become that much more powerful. With that in mind, we combined our O-series reasoning models with our full suite of tools to achieve state-of-the-art results across a bunch of very hard benchmarks, including AMY, GPQA, Codeforces, and SWE-bench. And just to illustrate the power of tools, it can also give a lot of new functionality. For instance, we now can have the models think with images. And what that means is that the model can use Python to manipulate, crop, and transform images in service of the task that you want to do. This means that today you can upload complicated images. You can upload blurry, upside-down images, and the model will handle that without any problems. Now, these advancements are powered by continued algorithmic advances in our RL paradigm. We've continued to scale both train time scaling and test time scaling. And one thing that makes me so excited about these models is just 1 or 2 weeks ago, I saw that there was a new paper in condensed matter physics, right? And it used o3-mini high to aid in the proof of a new unsolved theorem. And I really do believe that with this suite of models, o3 and o4-mini, we're going to see more advances like that. So here we have two of our researchers. We have Eric and Brandon, and they're going to show us a demo.
Yep. Hi, I'm Brandon McKinsey. I work on multimodal reasoning at OpenAI.
Hi, I'm Eric Mitchell. I work on post-training along with lots of other folks for our O-series models.
All right, we're going to show you some things that O3 can do. I'll start with a science example. So this will be a physics poster. So I'm going to let O3 start thinking now so it can take its time. What I'm going to feed it is a poster of some physics internship that I did in 2015, so 10 years ago. And this poster, or the project, was supposed to estimate a quantity called the proton isovector scalar charge. It's beyond the standard model of particle physics, quantity that tells you how short-range interactions, how strong they are. And what you'll see is that the model, O3, is zooming in. It's kind of like browsing around. Here, I'll zoom out just so we get a little bit better view. And it is kind of looking for the right quantities for the question I asked it, which is to basically find this result that I had and compare it to recent literature. But there's a small twist. The result actually isn't in the poster, and that's because I didn't have it yet. Although it's in like the final paper for this project, it's not in this poster, and I'm actually asking O3 to do the rest of the project for me, essentially.
He uses the same trick at OpenAI.
Yeah. It's true. Great. So it found the plot that I wanted it to find. It's supposed to figure out that it needs to like find the slope of this plot, extrapolate down to a specific like physical quark mass, and then like grab that quantity, and then actually apply another quantity to normalize that value. And I think it has already kind of figured out that this is what it should do, but it is just spending a little bit more time exploring the image. Okay, it's good. It's now going to browse the web for recent results.
Yeah, why is it searching the web?
Well, I think I actually, did I ask it? I said, oh yeah, find any recent findings that have like updated estimates. So now it's like just looking at like the literature and seeing what people have done and how it compares to the result that it thinks that I eventually arrived at.
And how long do you think it would take you to do this task?
Quite a long time. Yeah, so I mean, it took me a long time just to remember what my poster even meant in the first place, and I also didn't even realize that the result wasn't there when I first asked it this question. It actually told me that, which was nice. So many days just for me to even like onboard myself back to my project, and then a few days more probably to actually like search through the literature. And I mean, it must have just read at least like 10 different papers in a few seconds for me. So that's a huge time savings. Great, so it has summarized my result here, and these numbers look correct to me. So it's figured out like there's like this unnormalized value that it's like estimated by extrapolating, and that when you multiply by this specific constant, that it will renormalize it. And it says, okay, you would have ended up with this, which is somewhat close. I think it ended up around like 1.2 in my paper. And then it compares with the actual literature here. So there's a few different estimates, and looks a little close, I'd say. So let's see what it says. It says my bear value looks high because it needs to be renormalized. That's correct. After you multiply by that, you get something that's more consistent with the state-of-the-art results. That's great. But it says my precision isn't as good as the state-of-the-art, which is fine. It was an internship.
Not bad for an internship.
Exactly. So
We'll allow it.
I'll take it. So it seems like it's still a reasonable estimate that maybe has a little bit more uncertainty than recent results, which is great. So the field has made progress, which is awesome to see.
That's such a cool example.
That's super cool.
Cool. Now I'll hand it off to Eric for his example.
Cool. Yeah, it's tough to go after a demo like that, but I'm gonna show another aspect of O3's capabilities that I also think is super cool.
Needs to be coding.
As Mark and Greg have said, one of the cool things about these models is they can use all of the tools that we have available in ChatGPT. So I just turned on memory for this model, so the model knows a few things about me, and I'll get this one started as well. And so as people have said, models are super smart, which is really, really great, and they can help us with even cutting edge research in all sorts of fields. But even if you're not literally a researcher in particle physics, this new intelligence and these sort of more agentic kind of abilities to use tools is still useful, and it can still be a very valuable
I want to see the
for you as
benchmarks.
well. And so what I've asked O3 here is just
that excited
based on what
about
you know
this
about me. So
test
it
here.
has access to memories now. Read the news and teach me something that I probably didn't know, but that I would find really cool in particular. And so this is going to involve knowing something about me, but also doing some of this agentic thinking and tool use to look up some potentially relevant interesting things. And here I've also asked it to actually plot some data or information that I could put in a blog post if I wanted to tell people about this cool new fact. And so what it's done here is some of my interests are scuba diving and playing music. And so it's sort of combined these interests, and it's actually found this line of research that was actually kind of mind-blowing to me, which I didn't know about until I actually was working on this demo, where researchers actually make recordings of healthy coral reefs, and then they literally play back those recordings underwater with an underwater speaker, and that actually accelerates the settlement of new coral and even fish to sort of heal that coral reef and have it regenerate more quickly. And so this is like an actual line of research in like coral reef preservation, and it was a very cool sort of synthesis of like both like underwater like exploration and also music. And so here we have a nice blog post. So the model is sort of smoothly both browsing. It's using advanced data analysis to show and plot some data for me. It's using Canvas to generate a blog post, and it's summarizing at the end with some citations, what it found and where it got those results from. So again, these models are super smart, which is awesome, and I'm really excited about it. And I think this new intelligence and sort of ability to use tools will be useful whether you are literally at the frontiers of some scientific field, or you are integrating this model in your everyday workflows.
I wonder if what you can maybe play sound for a physicist too, and it would improve their results.
Yeah, what should we play at work?
Yeah,
we should
the
ask
sound
the
of a
model.
healthy
Healthy
training run.
physicist? What does a healthy physicist sound like, Brandon?
I'll look into that. I'll ask O3.
Cool. Thank you guys both for showing these really compelling demos. Next, we'll have Wenda and we'll have Ananya come on and talk a little bit about how the models are trained and also what the evals are like.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you both.
Man, it's super incredible.
It really
just
is.
Knowledge work, and also, even if you're just doing something that's highly personalized, it's very useful.
And to me, the magic is that under the hood, it's still just next token prediction.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's just a model that's just thinking about what should come next.
With sprinkles of RL.
Exactly. We've changed the objective, we trained where the data come from, and now we're able to really hook it up to the world.
Clark Kent.
Hi, I'm Wenda. I'm a researcher at OpenAI, and I work on scaling RL systems.
I'm Ananya. I'm a researcher at OpenAI, and I worked on some of the algorithms for these models. So we wanted to start out by showing some results on standard benchmarks for these models in math, coding, and science. So in these plots, the dark yellow bars are the new set of models, and the light yellow bars are the old set of models. And we see a pretty substantial boost. So on Amy, which is a hard math contest, o4-mini gets 99% accuracy with tools, pretty much saturating the eval. On code forces, these models get over 2,700, which place them in the top 200 contestants in the world. And GPQA is a set of hard PhD level questions, and O3 gets over 83%, which is pretty incredible.
It's pretty good.
We want to go beyond the eval numbers, which are incredible, and show you a little bit how our model uses tools in order to solve those problems. So here, for example, we have a problem from the Amy math contest. And the problem here is asking you to look at this grid of 2x2 squares and count the number of combinations of coloring that verify some constraint. And let's see how the model does it.
Yeah, so the way the model thinks is really cool. So it starts out by producing a brute force program and then runs it using a Python interpreter. And it gets the right answer, which is 82. But this is messy, right? It's pretty inelegant. And the model recognizes that and then simplifies its solution and comes up with a smarter way of doing things. It then also double checks its answer to increase its reliability, which is kind of neat. Now, these models are not just trained to output the right answer, they're also trained to be useful. So in this case, it now gives the solution in words to explain it to a human. What I found really cool here was we didn't train the model to use certain strategies directly. We didn't say, simplify your solution or double check. It just organically learns to do these things, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's super cool that comes up with essentially the intended solution here that a human would be able to do, whereas the first brute force solution, of course, you would never have time to do that in the actual contest. So beyond math science, we also want to share, a lot of you, I know, use these models for coding, and we want to share some practical coding benchmarks. So on SweDancer, SweBench, and Ada Polyglot, we achieve state-of-the-art results with the model when it's allowed to use tools end-to-end without any harness or any specific things like this. And to illustrate a bit more, I want to share a SweBench example with all of you. So I'm running it with o3 in the API with access to the container tool. Unfortunately, it will take us a couple more weeks to put the final polish on a tool running in the API. And so you won't be able to run this today, but I want to share this because I'm so excited about how the model is using the tool. So the problem the model is asked to tackle is the following. It's concerning a bug in this package called SymPy, which is a Python package which is used to manipulate symbolic mathematics. And I'm prompting the model with the question, and I'm also giving the model access to a container, which is a virtual machine, with the SymPy repository preloaded. So the model has access to a shell with all the code already there, and the model will have to figure out the bug. So the cool thing is that the model starts by just double-checking what I'm saying and seeing whether it observes the same thing. Like I would do when someone bugs me about something, I'm just going to check, is it actually a problem? And the model does see, oh yeah, it seems to print out max of 2x with the round brackets and the square brackets.
I bug Wendell a lot, and he does that.
And he always has good questions, though, so yeah. And then after this, just to double check, it will check that sign is now rendering correctly. So this is the square brackets, it's the intended behavior, and it's the bug we're trying to fix, essentially. And so the model will go around and browse the code and try to kind of get the lay of the land of the repository. And to do this, it just uses common terminal tools that Ananya or me might use in our day-to-day work. So like it lists the files, it opens the file with sed, and it will kind of print out the relevant files and try to find what's
A good price.
After some browsing, eventually the model figures out that maybe it can check this thing called the MRO, which is a Python construct that tells you about the inheritance of the class. And then based on the previous knowledge that the model has acquired, it notices that something is wrong, and this class does not inherit from function, but from application. And so the model browses around it a bit more, and eventually figures out that there's a good solution here. We can change this file to implement this. So it uses apply patch, applies a patch, and then hopefully this is the right solution. Finally, to confirm this, the model runs a unit test, just like any good engineer would, to double check that it has gotten the right thing, and it sees that indeed now it's printing with the square brackets. So this was a really cool route, and it's really cool to see the model kind of arranging this all by its own. This route was actually on the shorter side of Sweetbunch, and there were about 22 interactions and 16,000 tokens.
In some cases, the model uses more than 100 container interactions, and on average, it uses 37. So it's pretty cool that it can do these long rollouts with so many container interactions and get the right answer.
Yeah, doing a rollout that long with reliability is not trivial at all.
It's really hard. Yeah. We also wanted to show some numbers for standard multimodal benchmarks. And these numbers are just crazy on MMMU, MathVista, Charchive, and VStar. So we really hope these models are useful for your multimodal tasks as well.
Yeah, this is really, applying the reasoning paradigm to multimodal, which was previously not possible. And now, as Brandon demoed, the model is able to manipulate the image directly in the chain of thought, and that leads to a huge increase in capability for multimodal. Yeah, finally, I want to share another few evals that we run externally. So Humanity Task Exam, as you can see, our o3 model is able to get close to deep research. But o3 will run much faster, and of course, much fewer rate limits in ChatGPT if you are using it in ChatGPT. So we think it's a very cool model if you do not need a full report like what deep research produces, but instead are still interested in some agentic behavior to help you grab information.
So in these plots, we show the performance on the y-axis against the estimated inference cost on the x-axis. And we see that o4-mini is quite a bit better than o3-mini for any given inference cost.
Additionally, one thing that is not shown here is that o4-mini is a multimodal model, unlike o3-mini. So if you need a small and fast multimodal reasoning model, I'm very excited for you guys to try out o4-mini.
The results for o3 are even more stark. You can see that it can get the same performance with way less inference cost. And if you're willing to pay the same amount as o1, then you get a much higher score. So these are pretty amazing models.
Yeah, and this is why we're going to replace the o1 models with the new ones.
Yes. Yep. One thing we should mention quickly is that due to of the optimizations we've done to make the reasoning more cost efficient, and also the model more useful in general, it is not as benchmark optimized as the numbers we shared for the 12 days of Christmas. So there might be some small disparities up and down. Generally, it's gone up in multimodal, for example. We still think that this is a much better model because it's much more optimized for real-world use cases, and you won't have to wait as long when you're asking for an answer, which is a real thing with these reasoning models.
People are impatient.
I am impatient.
Yeah. So these models are a result of a lot of rigorous science, ingenuity, and craftsmanship. And we put in more than 10 times the training compute of o1 to produce o3. And it was a lot of hard work by lots and lots of people. But the end result was really beautiful to see. As we scaled up compute on the x-axis, the performance on evals like Amy just kept going up.
Yeah, so this is really us, going and retracing our steps through the GPT series, right, which was this kind of predictable scaling and pre-training. And now the goal is really we're trying to get through this scaling in RL and showing that as we put in more RL compute, we're also able to get commensurate gains. Yeah.
So what will O4 look like?
Yeah, I think if we just draw the line, 110% on each.
Done. Heard it here first.
Great. We're so excited for you to try out the model.
Thank you. So we've shown you the models, but we have one more special surprise. Here to show that to you are Fuad and Michael.
Hi, I'm Fuad on the Agents Research team.
I'm Michael, also in Agents Research.
I remember seeing a couple years ago the Codex demo, and it's just so wild to see how far we've come with these new sweet bench numbers.
Yeah, that model in that demo was kind of the first time that anyone had seen what is now called vibe coding. What a great term! I wish we had it at the time. And we called that model Codex because it really captures the fact that code is so integral to what we were trying to train the model to do. And so today, what we're going to show you is the continuation of the Codex legacy. We're going to be releasing a series of applications that we think will define what the future of programming looks like. And today, we're starting with the first one.
Great, yeah. Today, we're excited to share Codex CLI. It's a lightweight interface to connect our models to our users and their computers. You can think of it like a reference implementation for how to safely deploy code executing agents where you need them. It's built on top of public APIs like the Responses API, taking advantage of new features like chain of thought summaries in that API, and our latest models like O3 and O4-mini with multimodal reasoning capabilities. But enough talk, let's actually see a demo.
Awesome. So I went online to see what people had built with O3-mini. And so I found this cool image to ASCII generator. The author said that they built it with O3, but I'm pretty sure they meant O3-mini. So
Unless they were time traveling.
yeah, right. And so I thought today we would re-implement this using Codex and o4-mini just from the post. And so I'll start out actually, but just by taking a screenshot. And I'll take the screenshot and I'll drag it to my terminal. And so I'll give it to Codex. And so as you can see, I've passed it in using the image flag. And so Codex will start using that multimodal reasoning that we saw earlier from o4-mini.
And one amazing thing about using these models directly on your computers, you can take any file, any code base that you're working in, just go and grab that, put it into Codex, and here we can actually see some of that chain of thought that we were talking about earlier. It's asking for some clarifying questions, it's thinking about things, and then it actually looked at the image and even suggested a few things that we might want to do with it. What did you have in mind?
I thought we would just re-implement what we saw in the post.
Yeah, but since we're live, maybe we'll make it a little bit more fun. Let's add the web camera API, and just for the folks watching on the live stream, maybe let's make sure we keep it in the 16 by 9. I don't want some really small little video, but do you want to go and try that?
That sounds bold, but I like it.
We implement this in ASCII.html using the web camera API with a 16 by 9.
All right, cool.
So while it's thinking, I think one of the amazing things about Codex is that you can actually see it both think and also run the tools directly on your machine. So like what they mentioned earlier with function calling and the API, you can actually expose any of the existing functions that you would use, and in the future we'll have the full suite of tools that you'll be able to use in the API. And while it's thinking, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how it actually runs the commands? We can start to see it actually running some commands now.
Yeah, so by default, Codex runs in what we call suggest mode. And so as it's running, it suggests commands to edit, or commands to run, or files to edit, and you get to approve each one. But that can get a bit tedious. And so for the sake of the demo, I ran it in what we call full auto mode.
Yeah, and a little bit about full auto mode. It's a mode where you can allow the agent to go off and do its work, but still stay safe and secure. So it's able to run commands network disabled and limit the edits that it makes to the directory that you ran it in. So it gives you the peace of mind of actually having something that can go off and do things, but without the risks that come with just letting it run whatever command it wants. And it looks like it's pretty fast, so it's already done.
It's already done.
So you want to go and pull it up?
Yeah, so it said it created this ASCII HTML file, so let's go pull that up. Got to give it some permissions.
Always need some permissions.
And let's see.
Oh, that's so sick.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sick. It even had a little width slider.
Let's see.
Not quite what I thought a width slider would do.
Oh, but it's low res us.
I do love the low res version. Greg, you want to say hi?
There we go. Nice.
Amazing. So as you can see, it's so fun to use Codex. We've been using Codex to actually build Codex, and we're incredibly excited to see what you do with it now that it's fully available. And not only is the tool available, but we're also open sourcing all the code. So you can go up, as of a few minutes ago, to our GitHub, OpenAI/Codex, and go check it out. You can even use Codex to explain the repo to you. We're incredibly excited to see what you do. Alongside Codex CLI, we're also announcing a $1 million open source initiative to support projects with API credits using our latest models, using Codex CLI to accelerate the frontier of open source. We'll have a link in our research blog post for more information, but with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mark.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Thank you both so much. I want to talk a little bit more about ChatGPT availability. So starting today, if you are a Pro Plus Team subscriber, we're going to start rolling out access to O3, o4-mini, and o4-mini High. And as you saw from Ananya's post, these are strictly better than the previous generation of models, so they will be replacing the O1 and o3-mini series of models that we had before. You're going to have to wait a week if you are Enterprise or EDU. And if you use O1 Pro today and you love it, we are going to roll out O3 Pro, but it will take us some time to make sure all of the last remaining features are tied up.
We are also releasing these models in the API. In upcoming weeks, we will release tool usage in the API as well. So that will be really exciting to see what people do with them. These models, huge amount of work making them available from the entire team. And so it's been a real labor of love to bring these to the world. And we really view them as a major step forward in our mission of bringing AGI to benefit all of humanity. And so they're very useful for scientific applications, but we also think that they will be useful in your daily life. And so please use them, explore what they're capable of, and we're just so excited to see what you'll do with them. Thank you.
Thank you to the team.
All right. Take a look at some of this here. Yeah, I wonder about that. So they called it Codex. Codex, OpenAI. See if I can find a link to it. Yeah, okay. The GitHub link. Yeah. GitHub. Codex is the model that powers GitHub Copilot, which we built and launched in partnership with GitHub a month ago. Wait, really? Am I looking at the right thing? Oh, that is the old one. Thank you. Where the heck is it? Codex. Maybe it is just Codex. Let me check Twitter here. If anybody's got some links to it. It may not even have it out yet. Huh. Anyway, I'll have to try to dig that up. I'm really curious about o4-mini. This is actually a model that if it can code well, would actually be like a really good price. I was trying to see if they actually have caching support. They do. So very cheap, actually. Where's the reading? Wait a minute. Yeah, 440. I don't think I can use this model via the API. That's just too expensive. 200,000 context window and 200,000 context window. May 31st, 2024 knowledge cutoff. Huh. Yeah, it's a good idea on the Google and sort. um, let's see, past 24 hours. Okay, here we go. There's a TechCrunch art. Maybe it's in this article too. What did they call it? Codex. Okay. Yeah, the page isn't even loading. I feel like people are just spamming their site right now. There it goes. All right, how do I get to, oh, there it is. Let me start this so I don't lose it. So does it navigate code base? Explain this code base to me. Dude, that sounds awesome. Let's see if I can install it without being in WSL. Read any file in the repo, read it and apply patch rights to files, execute commands. In full auto, every command is run network disabled and confined to the current working directory. That's great. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to run this in in my Linux install. Probably can't run this in Windows. It's probably like Claude Code. Let me go ahead and just launch it in WSL real quick. Oh, it does say Windows. Oh, via WSL. Okay. Node 22. Sorry. Good Windows. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I doubt it's actually got any sort of full code base knowledge at all. Codex looks for config files in Codex. Okay, so you can set the model. You can set the mode. How do I stop it? Codex always runs in a sandbox first. Okay. All right, I need to figure out how to use this thing, but I have it installed. I'm going to go ahead and just put this side by side so I can sort of see what's going on here. Okay, so let's just do Codex in here. Okay, so now I have to go and create an AI API key. I have one already. I haven't got it in the web browser yet. Did you guys already get access to it in the web browser by chance? All right, I need to say. I'm gonna check again actually while this is going. Oh, I have o4-mini now. And o4-mini high. And o3. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna try to set this up here real quick, and then I really want to see what this will do in my code base while I've got a few minutes here. Get rid of that screen. Yep, I got it. Have you guys, I'm wondering what I should run in here. I have a bunch of questions that I have that we can just try to see if we can run a couple of the basic ones. Let me see which, here we go. It's probably my best one. Let's take and do one of the harder ones here. Actually, let me go down and grab it from here. This is like my testing suite that I use. I want to grab one of the very hardest ones. Yeah, let's do this one. The traffic simulator. And we'll do that in O3. Very curious what that's going to come up with. And then while that's hopefully not taking too long to run, I am going to set up the environment variable here. Wait. What? I actually did that way quicker than I thought. I don't think it's going to give me any visual. They never did in the past. That finished way faster than I expected. I have to move this over so I can put in my environment key. Let me grab this, put you over here. All right, let's see if this works now. Wait. Did I spell it wrong? I did, crap. All right, here we go. I got the dangerous sign. It can be dangerous to run a coding agent outside of a Git repository. Wait a minute, I am in a Git repository. What the heck? Hold on a second. Am I in? Oh no, my bad. Let's run it in here. All right, explain this code base to me. Okay, please verify your settings. What the heck settings do you want me to verify here? What can you do? Is it my key? My API key? What the crap? All right, I do want to just, I'm going to have to spend more time on the Codex stuff. That is a little interesting. But let's go ahead and try the model competition piece here. I basically keep like a catalog of tests for bugs that I want to fix, and then like the corrected answer. I'm trying to build like an automated testing suite, and then I have a series of questions that I run, and then I've got this JSON version, which is what currently works the best. But for now, I'm just going to run it here in this folder. Here, Python test.py. Holy smokes. Wait, why did it stop at the green light? Maybe it's following this. I think the lights are just wrong. That is sick. It actually put roads in there. These guys are just running in the field here. Press 1 or 2 to change. Oh, the green duration. Okay. That's pretty sweet. Now, do that same thing in o4-mini high. That's actually pretty neat. It's definitely one of the more interesting ones that I found. I guess maybe it makes sense. Yeah, because they're just riding on the wrong side of the road. So that's what threw me off. They're actually riding like I'm in the US, so I'm riding on the right side of the road. They're all riding on the left side of the road. And I was expecting this light to control it, but this light's actually for this one. All right. Let's see. This is more like what I'm used to seeing. This is actually really good comparatively to other ones. This probably beats the ones that I've seen. Like the best one that I've seen before is the Grok 3 thinking one. And this is probably better. Everything makes sense here. That's pretty sick. Wait, did they already get rid of o4-mini? Oh. I'm actually using o4-mini in production. I hope they're not cutting it from the API. No, they wouldn't do that just out of the blue. I'm actually a little worried about that now, though. When are they going to get rid of the o4-mini? Do they have like a deprecation date? I'm gonna have to test getting my production stuff off of o4-mini now. They don't have anything on there yet. What the heck is this Codex thing? Like, how do I make this thing work? OpenAI rejected the request. Please verify your settings and try again. Freaking settings. Yeah, it's in the more model section. I'm actually curious about that now. I don't mind as long as o4-mini does the job that I'm trying to run o4-mini with. Switching over to it, I'll just have to do a bunch of. I have like an automated suite that I run hundreds of tests on. I got to make sure that that's going to work with the new model. Oh, here, yeah, it's not in more models for me either. It's completely gone. All right, so what I really want to do is I kind of want to see if it's in OpenRouter yet. I have to imagine it's already there. It is, cool. I think what I want to do real quick is just test it in root code real fast. I have a test here that we can run. Let's see which test I want to do here. Okay. Let's do something simpler because I don't feel like setting that up. That's too simple. I like this one. So if we set this up, let's just go to code mode and change this to T04. 04 mini high. Save. And I want to put this into o4 folder. I'm curious to see how it's going to respond to what root code does with it. I'm really going to be watching the speed too. I'm using it through OpenRouter though, so it might be a little less performant, but that's actually kind of slow. I did put it on high. Maybe the thinking tokens aren't streaming through properly yet on the API through OpenRouter. Because I'd expect to be getting some output. Oh, okay, here's the project plan. Ah, man, I was hoping... So all my results, they always build one level with this one. So the idea behind this is basically to build like a little mini platformer with all the things, like design the levels and everything. And I get some pretty sweet ones from this. So let me show you, like, in comparison while that's actually running. So this is test 2. So let's go into test underscore, or test 2 underscore results. Remember what the thing was. I think, yeah, Python main.py. Okay. That's right. I have to go into... Yeah, this is what I have to run. The way of the component. So this is kind of neat. You get like a full, like, got pretty good controls too. This is the one that was built with my micromanager, just to kind of give a comparison of what o4 does. But it ends because there's no level 2, and it looks like o4 is going to do the same thing. All right, so tell me more about running Codex, because I have... Do you think it's my API key? Like, this is an API key I created a long time ago. Do I need to go like make a special one that allows Codex? Let me just go take a look at my OpenAI account. I just keep getting this error. Tell me about my code base. Yeah, so this is my repository. This is my GitHub repository here. And this has, let me just quit out of here. If you look here, you can kind of see the setup here. So I've got public, script, source, all of that stuff in there. And if I run Codex, explain this code base to me. Gotta be something with my API key. Maybe they've changed the way you create them. Man, o4-mini's actually taking a while over here to build it. Pretty slow at the moment. Yeah, let me go. I'll go make a new API key. I think you're probably right. It's got to be the problem here. There's a setting for it. All permission to all. Service account. Let's call this one Codex. Put this. All right. Oh yeah, that is definitely a different linked key. All right, this is the new key. Oh man. I wonder what's going on. Let me make sure I got... Yeah, I have a balance of like $53 in there right now. It's not a billing thing. Usage? Maybe there's setting. Has anyone been able to get it to work? Have you guys tried it all? Oh yeah, I agree with you on not just vibe coding. You have to know what you're doing. There's two different ways to think about it though. First of all, I think vibe coding is the dumbest thing in the world. You have to be very surgical and strategic about all the code you're doing. A lot of the testing I do here is just to understand the fundamental analysis of like, does a model work with root code? Because a lot of models will outright fail. Like it won't call tools right, it won't edit. Diffing becomes a problem. Anyone that uses it will know like it just behaves differently depending on the model. But when I'm working in production, you have to be very surgical. So you need to kind of like target the files that you're doing, and you should code review everything. Use git commit. Uh, I am not a fan of just vibe coding things unless you just want to do it for fun. Like for kids, great. My wife, she would never do that, but that's great. Yeah, 100% conservative. Like vibe coding, it's so the way I look at it is there's several things, right? What I care about, and it's very hard to test it. I would love some ideas on this because how I use coding on a day-to-day basis is very surgical. Like I target particular files, I target components, I diff, I review everything. But the problem is like testing a model and seeing how it performs with code seems very different because everyone's code base is it's uh it's very hard to side by side compare and test models on a particular thing in a code base and do that consistently. That's basically because my code base changes many times a day. Like I'm pushing quite a bit of code through, but you have to have some way to analyze like how good a model is at coding. And to me is like really a couple factors. One is cost. The other is like, does it do a good job like understanding how to actually build a plan and write code? Because ultimately that's important. And then the final thing is speed. Like I love DeepSeek V3, but it is slow as molasses. And o4-mini better speed up because this is also slow as molasses. It would drive me nuts if I worked with this all day. Yeah, and honestly, anybody that says you can just build something in production without actually having to code is totally wrong. I spend a significant amount of my time. So the way I typically work, and you probably can see this from the IDEs that I have open, this is pretty crazy. But several of these are actually my production applications. Some of them are test ones that I'm running, but I'll typically have an IDE that I'm actually coding in, and then I'll have another IDE where I'm running an AI task on, where I'm just having it go through and very surgically do one particular thing that I want. And maybe I'll have two of those running at the same time at times, but there's still things you just have to code. And I don't think there's any way around it, to be honest with you. All right, so I'm just curious about, but what I do look at though for models is I do need to know, um, like if it actually works in the tooling that I have. Does it follow the prompts good? Can it actually use the tool calls that I actually want? All right, so they said I can just run Python mains. I don't need to. Yeah. Yeah, so this one ended up with like a failure. That's kind of disappointing for how long that actually took. I could probably tell it that though. This is the true vibe coding path here. Just paste the error in there rather than go fix it. Yeah, I probably need to get off of the open router version of it, to be honest. I do have my, let me do this. Let me just change this to, do I have one for OpenAI in there currently? No, let me make a new one. And then change this. I'm pretty sure I have my key already in here for OpenAI. Yeah. And let's switch you to, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to that extension update. I should have hit update before restart there. One thing I hate about Augment is every time I load in, it always switches to its view. I don't want it to do that. Just keep me on the file view. Do not switch me into your view, Augment. Like, I love you. I love Augment, but do not do that, please. For the love of God. I actually really like 4.1. A lot, actually. I like 4.1 a significant amount. I think 4.1 mini is actually a really, really solid model. Yeah, Dave, I really like that approach. I've been thinking more and more. Some years ago, I worked at a company and we did TDD for everything. This was like 2012, 2013-ish time frame. And it was sort of a pain in the butt, honestly, because when you're doing, this was the days of like early, I can't remember what year AngularJS came out or when I started using AngularJS. But at the time, there really wasn't good ways to kind of unit test or do TDD with like front end technology. But anyway, long story short, I think there is probably a future where TDD comes back into play with AI, because if you could go through and like use like TDD to actually build the functionality and get it to build against the test and then know how to run the test and check it's valid if it's valid or not, I think it could be pretty sweet. Yeah, Agnos, I actually really, really like GPT 4.1. I think it does an extraordinary job at the languages I use. But I have actually tested it with C++ and Rust and Haskell. I do want to test it with C#. And it seems to be incredibly good at Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, HTML. It's really good at some of the stuff that I do with the serverless CDK that I use with AWS, and then even in the Shopify stuff, it seems to know that pretty well. But it's not as great in obscure languages. Like there's someone in my Discord that was saying 4.1 is awful with Elixir. But I was looking it up, and Elixir, I've really hardly ever used Elixir. But I was looking it up, and like 2% of devs know Elixir, and I think it's just a matter of there's not a lot of data around it. I don't know. It's one of those models where I think you just have to try it in your environment. Like it might be great for you, it might not. It's not good for C#. That's good to know. If I can't even get Codex to work at all. I made a new API key. I should go check the GitHub to see if anyone's posted an issue, or maybe there's like a workaround that I'm just not finding here. Where did I put that? Here it is. We have 2 issues already. Required API key. Does it use Docker build, Codex crash, router AI, supporting Azure? Yes, this is the one I'm getting. Please have an answer. It's 23. Ran into it. Can't confirm. Same. Okay, cool. It's not just me. Same. Just run Codex on the working group. Wait. I can't do it in my root directory? Maybe that's what somebody in chat was saying that before. So maybe I got to go into, let's just do this. Codex. Explain this code base to me. No. I mean, I do have subfolders in here too. Oh, yeah, I'm not in the ls. So I got to go to my controllers. Explain controllers are in here. Crap. Switch to 4.0. So changing the model might fix it. Seems to be a rollout issue. O3 nor would work. GPT-4.1. So I'm on o4-mini. Maybe that's the problem. Oh, thanks, Matt. That's awesome. Appreciate that. I have not. I actually set it as an environment variable. If I were to leave this terminal, I would have to put it in again, which would really suck, to be honest. I think there might be a way to configure it, but I haven't got that figured out yet. All right, I want to go look at how to set up that config file. I bet you that's the answer. Because I saw I swear I saw something about setting up a config file. Okay, yeah. So there is going to be a... I want to get back to my root. Did it create a Codex folder for me? Not. I want to do something. Opening up over here. Wait, did it ask you for model when you like started it up? Yeah, Sebastian, see, I kind of agree with you. The more and more I'm using it, the problem is when your code base isn't set up to work that way. But I really do think when you're doing new repositories now, thinking about how they work with AI is just going to be part of architecting it. Like if I were to start a new project today, I would probably do it totally different from the ones I've started 4 years ago now that I'm working in. It's an interesting thing. Yeah, I wonder, it looks like it's at I don't know. Oh, it already exists. So did I just miss it in there? It does. Okay. Yeah. So it is like a global level thing. Okay, so let's do I'm assuming this is what's loading. Let me go find their slug for it. What are you thinking? Like, should I do 4.1? Since 4. Yeah, I was hoping it would be in my repository. I was kind of hoping it wasn't a global level thing, and it might work locally too. But the way they make it seem is that it's in the root of everything there. So let me go grab the slug here. Hope that works. All right, so then if that did work, let's see if it updates in here. Okay, so yeah, cool. It picked up the model. Explain this code base. Oh, I got it. That's what you got to do. No. What is this? Why? Wait a minute. I'm in the wrong version. VMLS. Menu install v22. Is v22. Probably gonna have to install Codex again. go grab that. I thought I was already on V22, but I forgot I actually was running in WSL 122 in Windows. Yep, I added the packages. So let's try Codex now. Where is code base? So it does give you a little bit of thinking, or I mean, I don't know if you can call that thinking, to be honest, but what it's looking at. We do not do NFTs. We have one reference to NFTs in there that I need to pull out that we were experimenting with a long time ago. So that's funny. It is loopback 4. It's interesting. It thinks because of the NFT stuff, it like picks up like the blockchain stuff in there. But yeah, we do, and we don't. We do a little. We have like a quest system, but it's not really a quest. It's like a loyalty campaign. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, we have our one art hack command there. Interesting. Tell me what APIs are in planner.controller. Let me see if I can find a file without me giving it the exact name here. Huh. I am in the right version of Node. Explain to me what planner.controller yes is. This thing still seems a little buggy. I'm gonna have to try it in Linux too. It might just work. Well, I mean, this is Ubuntu Linux. So, I mean, it should work, but that's unfortunate. All right, I want to do something kind of fun real quick before we call this. Let me get rid of that and go back to here. And we're going to run something a little bit more interesting. This is a little bit of a harder problem that I haven't never had a model actually do really well. But basically, I want a procedural, like random dungeon layout, and you should be able to navigate through it with simple combat. I've had like Grok 3 Thinking did an alright job. Again, this is just really like testing, if it's even possible. And while that's happening, let me go back to here. All right, so we're going to. Weird. I can't believe how slow this is in root code. Yeah, and I'm just gonna verify. I'm pretty sure I'm. Okay. Really? Yeah, I'm tier 4. Yeah, I'm tier 4 in the APIs. This is the one I'm using. This is my personal one. Yeah, it is. I'm actually using OpenAI's endpoint through your code. It's fascinating. You're getting fast speeds. Did they just push another bug fix or something? I wonder if I need to go grab that. Go look in Discord. I didn't post anything about it. Crazy. All right, let's take a look. Copy button right there. All right. So curious. Crash. O3 failed. O4-mini failed. Actually not impressive for 188 lines of code for it to actually crash with such a random, or I mean such a basic error there, to be honest. One of the things I found with reasoning models too, I don't know if you guys see the same thing, but the follow-up isn't always easy. Gemini 2.5 actually does a great job with it. But a lot of the OpenAI ones, when you start like talking to it, and even Grok thinking, when you start talking to it more than a couple conversations, it totally loses track of what we were originally talking about. Just because of, I think, the amount of tokens it's done in there. Restart ext. O3 not following code length. I've always had trouble with telling it to write a certain thing. Like any type of length, any type of word count or something. Yeah, so ex. When you say restart ext, do you mean restart ex, like Codex? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. Restart the extension. Okay, so it finished now. So let me just run this, and then I am going to go ahead and restart it there. What about the different block? You see what the yellow is. That's pretty cool, actually. This is like a switch. You see that? So I hit this and it like turns green. I wonder if it's that's kind of neat, actually. All right, let me go in here. I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly what to think here. Hopefully it is significantly faster than what I'm currently seeing. Okay, so this one just stopped halfway through. Cool. Ooh. I think I killed it somehow. I'm not sure how. Oh, I pushed spacebar to kill stuff. I crashed it. That might be one of the better like navigation ones that I've gotten so far, to be totally honest. Yeah, root code is amazing. Honestly, what I like about root code the most is just the ability for me to configure it so much. And I know Klein has come a long way. It's I just haven't spent enough time to compare them side by side much anymore. Yeah, this is just broken. All right, let me go and grab one of these guys and use o4-mini with it. Let's see if it's any faster. I'm gonna debate. I think I want to do that in this one actually. I'm gonna put this in. Kind of just need to do it in code mode, but I kind of want architect to also be the OpenAI endpoint. Please be faster. I think I need to give client a bit of a more another go. I wonder if it's better at Panda 3D, which it's kind of like it's a game engine that I used to use like years ago, and it's still pretty good. Or PyOpenGL, which is really just OpenGL library. I'm betting OpenGL will just work better. I kind of wanted it to decide when I gave it just based on its own knowledge, but we'll try the PyOpenGL one. Yeah, so Matt, I've actually been thinking about that a lot. So this is a little bit early, but I'll show you some of the tests that I've been doing here. Let me go into a different root code. Yeah, that looks fine. Let me go into a different one. Let me go into, this is my ADK test that I was doing. So in root code, so my idea is very similar. My thinking was my intern model, for example, is it's a small model. Currently, I'm running Llama 3.1 Nematron Ultra 253, but it's a pretty good reasoning model, and it's free right now. So my original concept was, can I actually delegate tasks to save cost and get a better outcome than just using Claude for everything or just using Gemini 2.5 Pro for everything? So my junior model currently, for example, is going to be GPT-4.1-mini, which is a really good model. So basically, you can kind of think about it. Intern and junior is basically free. Then I got my mid-level, which is the GPT-4.1. Then I go to Gemini 2.5 Pro. And then I go to Claude 3.7 for designer. And I use Flash, Gemini 2.0 Flash. And my micromanager, I'm currently using Gemini 2.5 Pro for that. But anyway, the output of stuff is actually pretty interesting because you can do side-by-side comparisons with boomerang mode, code mode, and my setup and do a cost comparison. From a cost comparison, nothing beats just going into code mode and doing it. But the output is going to be not as good because less planning is going to happen. But if you really do want just the first shot for the cheapest amount, code mode, I can't compete with that. Even if you have it in Gemini 2.5 Pro. Now, if code mode decides to switch to architect mode, which does happen, it can actually cost more. So it's, yeah, well, yeah, we can write that plan. It's fine. So this is going to actually bounce me around. So let's go look at like test 3, for example. Where's test 3? So this is the prompt that I kind of test with on it. And this is the analysis that I've been kind of putting together. So look at the price difference here. Just code mode itself, 19 cents versus what I'm running, $1.21. But the quality of them it's so different. So if you look at the code results, you end up with these are the files you get, very basic functionality. And the style isn't really as good. But if you look at what I end up getting with my micromanager, so if I go in there and run that, I'll just show you what it looks like. Start results index.html. Like, check out what it made. You've got like this toggle light mode and dark mode with like a nice subtle animation. It's got filtering. It's got the sorting. Like, everything's working like pretty well. I can pick like dates and hot. It styles based on. I'm pretty sure it did. Let me make sure I'm not making this up. So let me go high priority at task. So yeah, let me try a different priority now. Somebody that I thought it was red. Maybe I'm wrong. Low priority. Yeah, so it styles it based on priority. It's apparently green's the high priority. I think mid priority was yellow. If I pick medium, yellow. Like, this just looks sweet. Get rid of that one. Actually, I think that's bugged. Something bugged there. Or if I run the other one that it did, test 3 index. Actually, it's test 3 _ code index.html. This is what just the code mode one came up with. You can add new tasks. There is no priority. Like, it just did a lot of extra stuff, which is, if you're looking for a starting point, kind of like a seed and application, this guy's sweet. But I mean, this is really good too. And the price difference is kind of what you got to look at there. So, I don't know. It's tough. I've really been trying to analyze the orchestration stuff so much. My alarm's going off. Yeah, I do the same thing, Sam, because I'll like do initial boilerplate code, but then you have to get in there and you just have to like tweak and style and modify stuff, and it's sometimes easier just to go in and code it yourself than to try to tell the AI to do it, because then it'll do something completely different. I don't know, I just end up yelling at the AI. Yeah, I'd be curious to see kind of what the type of things you guys are creating. Yeah, you might be more advanced than me, but this is an example of like one of my UI that I've worked quite a lot on. Being able to switch, stuff like this, and I have some really cool animation stuff. Let me go. Actually, I'll show you. If I go to, let me go back here. Hit generate campaign. So do like some really neat like animation and stuff. I spend a lot of time doing a lot of this stuff myself. AI can help you though, like get it stubbed out, but it's not going to be perfect in any way. That's a great idea. It'd be neat to have a website. One of the other things I'm thinking about for a website is I don't know how many of you pay attention to like benchmarking games or benchmarking anything really. But in video games, when you're benchmarking a GPU, now it's a little bit more nuanced now because of all the AI stuff, frame gen, all that stuff. And this might be going off the rails a little bit. But it's pretty cut and dry. You run a game, you have some settings for it, and it performs well or it doesn't. With AI, a model, like if you wanted to benchmark a model, there's a bajillion different languages, frameworks, knowledge that's needed, tool calling, like you name it. There's just so much. Like all the benchmarks are so flawed. Everything that I do is very flawed. There's like no perfect formula to figure out a way to actually really understand what a model can do. I feel like there needs to be some really fine-tuned, like really language-specific, framework-specific benchmarks. And one of the things I was thinking about is a website where a person could go and be like, I like this model for Elixir, or this model sucks at Elixir. Because it'd be really neat if we could kind of crowdsource all of our knowledge of all the things that we're learning. Because there's some models that just do not work at all with my AWS CDK. They just suck. The knowledge cutoff too far away, so everything's kind of updated, and it always uses the old outdated stuff. It just doesn't work. And Shopify, for example, is the same way. But if there's a way to like crowdsource that to understand, kind of LM Arena style, but really more broad than that, to where we could kind of understand a model is better at Python than another model. Just general consensus on it. Bench M for models. All right, I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm actually not familiar with that. I appreciate you. Thank you for the tip too, by the way. Is Bench M a thing? Oh yeah, let's see what this is. This might not be what you're talking about. This what you're talking about, Matt? I like that idea, Sayon. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I guess whatever's happening in the UK for you guys, you have fast OpenAI, I have slow OpenAI. So enjoy it while you have it. This is taking forever. Unbelievable. If I were to run this in o4-mini, it would have been done already. It's crazy how slow this is. Yes, I got what you mean. Yep, totally. I got you, Matt. So this is another thing that I struggle with. And this is giving you too much into the weeds of like what I do. But I have some hidden like devs. I can't use dev mode anymore up here because of Figma. But so you can kind of see I built this like prompt manager. You can only get to it if you're a super admin. But there's a lot of things that happen. These prompts are very complex. So I've got, and these are like the seed of a lot of the things I'm building in our application. And we have a little over 200 e-commerce stores using our product right now. And if I go in and I change anything in these, testing that right now, I run through some automated tests, but I don't have a like the fully automated suite that I would like to have. Like the ideal state would be, yes, the structured format is right, everything that's there should be there, but also there's a subjective element to it as well, on how well it's held on to the topic, how well it's writing, how well it's formatting things, in particular in our problem domain. So like making changes to these or switching models is actually quite a hassle. And I know evals is something that can help with some of this, but it doesn't really help fully. I think as we move from the state that we're in now, for me in particular, for me to be able to scale to, if I make a change to this and I break this, we have hundreds of stores that end up having a problem. I just can't have that. So if I could figure out a way to very easily be able to make a change and then test across maybe 1,000 iterations and be able to get a scoring, kind of like a benchmark suite, but not really, that told me that this is safe. It's safe to go to GPT 4.1. You ran enough, everything's good, the quality is good. And it's so hard to figure that out. See you, Matt. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I got to jump here in a minute. I wanted to see what this thing ends up doing. Yes, I really love Google's ADK. That thing is freaking awesome. It is amazing. so I also am a little bit biased with I don't feel like feeling locked into an ecosystem. And I feel like OpenAI is trying to lock us into an ecosystem a little bit more, which is smart by them. That's as a business, that's what they should be doing. So I haven't really given OpenAI's agentic suite the love that it should. So if you've tested that, you might find that that's better. But I really like the way Google's taken the approach of I can run any model in it. I can do whatever the heck I want. It's so nice. I'm hoping this speeds up though, because I could not. This is what it feels like coding with DeepSeek v3, and I love DeepSeek v3, and I don't hate me for this, but DeepSeek v3 is a great model. But when you're coding, I don't want to sit here for minutes waiting for something to generate like a file. And I'll have 2 or 3 IDEs, and it is just gonna be so infuriating waiting on DeepSeek like R1 or v3 to run. And o4-mini is giving me that kind of vibe right now for speed. All right. I wanted to try a couple of my reasoning questions that I run. So I'm going to show you something that I do here. These are the large prompts that we actually run. The format's kind of garbage, but I want to see what it does. Let's go into here. So this should generate basically a marketing brief. This is a fictitious store that sells chips. Pretty sure this is the chips one. Yeah, it's my chips one. So it handled structured output really well. And looks like it's got all of the content in there. And then I parse that and kind of manage it to make that look good in the UI. If I do that same thing in o4-mini high, this is what I'm using o3 for today, is this particular task. o3, and then I fall back to 4.1 when it's having problems. Blue waffled, I love it. Red drop 420. Let me see what it is, 420. Here. Oh, this one actually is generating an email. This it's a very it's a little complex, but we assemble like fully ready to send emails. But you can, it's sort of like AI assisted. So you can chat with it. So it's not like we're trying not to build like marketing slop, which I hate. You guys can probably tell it too when you're getting emails and they've just been written by AI. But what we're trying to do is basically allow you, like, this is awful, game changer, it's coming. Anyway, the idea here is like you can talk to it. So I can be like, I hate that subject line. Give me something else. And the subject line, it'll go through and it'll start generating all the new stuff that you need. So here it's going to be your next craving arrives soon. And this is sort of, I'm trying to work through the right way to present this, but this will come in and populate over here to the right on it. In Rue code, let me take a, I don't know if I've noticed in Rue code, what does the lighter gray context bar? Oh, for the context length? I'm assuming you're talking about this bar here. And then this one. a great question. So my assumption was that a good portion of this is cached context, and then this is what you're actually using as part of it. But it's actually something you've got me questioning that now. Like, is that actually correct? Let's go look it up in the code base real quick. I have the code base here. I have root code. Yep, here it is. I love. So anyway, this is the best thing about Augment. I can be like, all right, in the, make sure I'm asking this correctly. In the context window visual bar, what does the white bar mean? And the white mean regards to context window. Let's see if I can answer that. Light filled portion represents the currently used tokens, while the empty portion represents the, yeah, we knew that. Total context window. Oh, wait, what? That does not make sense. Seems like my context window is 24.3K out of 200.0K, and I have gray bar behind the white bar represents something else. White bar clearly 2K. The lightest color show the reserved tokens. Space reserved for the model's response. And then available space remaining available token. I wonder if that's true. Explain to me what you mean by space reserved for the models. That seems like a lot. If it's what I think it is, that seems like a lot for like this particular thing here. Oh. Oh. So it's basically how much it's sending as like the context window max token value from uses that. It's like the max tokens value that it's allowing. Oh wait, I gotta hover. Available space 75.2K tokens. That's what it is. It's the max token setting in the API. That's a good question. So you think it's the these are the tokens the model is actively considering. The KV cache stores the intermediate calculations from the attention layers for these specific tokens. Like the pre-occupied space in the context window. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's, according to Augment, I'd have to actually go look at the code. For example, with Claude 3 Haiku, total context window 200K, maximum response size, max tokens 4096. This means 4096 tokens are reserved for the model's potential response, shown as the gray bar in the UI. So root code must be calculating that somehow. That's super cool. Yeah, we got nothing. All of that waiting for a sliding bar 36 cents later. It is cheap, but took forever, and we got nothing. Great. It is a lot though, right? I wonder if I'm not thinking about this right in my production application now. Because this is 3 times the current context window. In this case, I need to start paying attention to what that ends up coming out to. So if I start a new one, I say, just go to ask mode, something simple here. Tell me code base is about. Yeah, look where it starts. It starts in the middle, 100K. So it starts at like 50%, and then goes to 85.2, because then it's basically staying at 100K in that case. Hey, Adam. How's it working? I think, I don't know. I'm from a coding perspective, I'm not super blown away, to just be totally honest with you. I've ran a bunch of like mini tests with it, and a lot of them have not worked. And the API seems really slow. So here, I'll show you the one that we just kind of ran here. We tried just doing a very basic flight sim, and it took forever for this to run. It was incredibly, incredibly slow. It did go into architect mode as well and switch over to code mode. But we did get 2 nice sliders that can control speed and sensor range. I also ran a few other tests. It does work really good with root code. o4-mini is the one I'm running mostly. And then in the web browser, we did run several tests here as well. So we ran a dungeon crawler game. Both of them did pretty decent at that. And so it could generate Python code pretty well. O3 is faster than I expected. Watching them in that demo, they were there for minutes. I actually gave it some of the stuff that I'm running in production, and it did a really quick job, like 13 seconds, 24 seconds, so really, really quick. I vibe coded GTA 6 in 1 prompt. It's super weird that this shows 100K. Yeah, 75.2, 24.8, 100K. Weird. Yeah, man. So, dude, I don't even know how, to be totally honest with you guys, long term, if we don't come up with something in the open source community and Augment ends up coming up with like a $200 a month plan for unlimited access, or mostly unlimited access, I honestly don't know how we compete with Augment. Their context engine that they have is incredible. It is just so freaking incredible. And if you're looking for something like what I used to believe Cursor did, which is it just worked out of the box. Let me go back to here. I can show you some of the stuff that I've ran. Let's see here. Go to agent mode. The piece that I'm talking about in particular is this. So it'll go through and ask a natural language question to the tool, the Augment Context Engine, and it just freaking works so good. The hang-ups on it for me, though, are I'm locked into them. I can't decide what models to use. I can't really customize prompts. But if we could figure out a way to get this piece, this one tool, man, in root code, I would pay to have a service like this that I can hook into whatever coding tool I wanted, to be honest with you. They are by far the best. Yeah, actually, let's try some image analysis. That's a great point. So let's go find. Actually, I kind of want to try it with o4-mini. Let me go see. I'm gonna grab something goofy for my cost. We find like a random email. I'm gonna send you like an image of an email. How would you classify this email? Break it down into the following. What type of email? Promotion, education, awareness. What components make up this email? Yeah. And be like, what content the email try to show? I'm trying to think about the best way I can do that. It's probably not going to do like what that one guy did where it like zooms in. This is the o4-mini too. Euro headline, feature call out, product imagery. Let's see how o3 does that same thing. I need a big image. I gotta find something like bigger to be able to really test this. Something big. What could I have for that? Oh, I have an idea. Is it gonna work though? I can export out a technical diagram that I have that's gigantic. My old ones. %300. Okay, this is a big file. If it'll work on that. Can you describe the data model for me? I don't know. Maybe it's not big enough. We really even need to find something bigger. This thing is 8,600 by 6,000. Okay, this is the mode that we saw in the demo. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's analyzing it. Oh, it's going to resize it. Is it going to zoom in on it? It is. It's like cropping like pieces of it. You can... Let me make sure I have it high enough resolution. Yeah, you can zoom in on it enough. Okay. Wanted to make sure I gave it. This is actually pretty neat. Sam, I actually had to put in my API key into OpenRouter to make it work for o3. There's like a configuration in there. Yeah, I have no idea. Like it seems kind of random how it's piecemealing it currently. Okay, so this is the bottom middle section. We got red and green, so that must be this section here. I don't know where that's at in the diagram. That's got to be up here. That's the only place where I got a bunch of sticky notes. And then that one is here. How is it going to make heads or tails of this? Like it's cutting boxes in half? Weird. Now it's got some lines. That's sweet. That must be this section. This section here. Right here this time. I can't believe how much work this is doing. I'll be totally honest with you. Maybe it is actually. Maybe it's like following the route. Yeah, because if it went here, walked down here, and then it maybe like walks back. Maybe it's like pathing it. Oh, did it die on me? No. That's so sad. After all of that. I'm afraid to hit refresh here. If that isn't refresh. Keep going. Oh, that is a bummer. It looks so promising. I'm actually curious. I wonder if it'll continue. See what it does. I want to try it in o4-mini. See what it does. Oh, wait, it's continuing. Maybe. There's nothing usable in that image at all. Nothing. That's worse. All right, while that's running, I want to try it over here. That's the wrong text. Use the same prompt. Okay, all right, so one Shopify merchant, one brand. It's kind of interesting the way it's editing it. You guys see that? It's like building it in a really weird format. This all looks correct. I need to go through that entire diagram, but this is totally correct here for how that works. I'm not sure if it's missing stuff. This is totally correct. This is exactly right. Current condition or an effect. Yep, that's all correct. Actually, this is very impressive. Holy crap. Dang. Do not have that in the table. Maybe that's coming from the memory. We have something similar to this already, though. We just call them different names. Man, o3 did a really good job presenting that. I'm not gonna lie, that is impressive. It's actually, I mean, this is pretty good too. I mean, this is correct. That's correct. That's correct. All of these are valid. This is slick though. That's actually kind of crazy. That is insane. Man, I honestly, things like this would kind of makes me change like the way you even architect a new application. Um, I have like a giant Figma board, for example, like absolutely giant. Be interesting if we could export that out and like have it go through, pull all the cards off of the ideation boards and stuff, and be able to do that step by step. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. The other thing, I wonder if it can do like big data analysis. I wonder how much data analysis it can do. I think I have a CSV file. Not enough data in that one. Ooh, what about this one? Oh, that's not enough either. Need a bigger one. Not a huge amount of data, but this will be a good test one. See if it can do it. There's a lot of data fields in here. So see, we have like models that kind of run on them. Wait, it's actually going to run pandas on it. This is that container action they were talking about. Oh man, that is a great idea about the mermaid diagram. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go into here. Let's go to o3. Refresh so I can get the chat history. This one. This is an excellent idea. Entropy came up with that one. I love this idea. Man, I kind of want to dump like a crap ton of data in this thing to see what kind of data analysis it could do. This is something models have typically not been very good at. And I wonder if this would work through an API. Like if I gave it... All right, here is a gigantic file. This is a 72. I guess it's not that gigantic. It is 7 times bigger than the other one. I did not tell it. Oh, it's doing it. All right, we're going to have to go to Mermaid. I edit here. Oh my god, if this works. Something I do like about Claude, though, is the artifact they have for Mermaid. It's pretty sweet. That is actually really... I need to go get like some of my bigger data dumps and do something bigger in here. I'm curious what its limits are. Look at this, the hourly rhythm. Dang. This has been some of the hardest stuff for us to get right. It's like the analysis part of any sort of data in LLMs. Because you want to give it, you want it to use some of the data from a particular brand to be able to generate things that are useful. So like the fact that this kind of was able to pull out an hour, like a time where the it's when orders spiked, is pretty sweet. That's what I'm wondering if that works in the API. It probably doesn't. All right, let's see if this works. Hold on a minute, let me go back. Fix it for me, AI. Line 13. I don't know about that. Seven. I see. Adding comments in there. D1. Nine. Well, thanks, AI. Guess it's not the best at making mermaid. Station. Oh. All right, I gotta look at this. Where's my organization? Right there. It's this here. It's close in that area. It's not perfect there. Where's my loyalty program? So, yep, your loyalty program, tiers, campaigns, coupons, definition, real product, the really on user, inventory product, currency balance, and then transaction log, earn condition, loyalty earn. Where's earn effect? Earn effect. Dude, that is awesome. Other than it putting that weird stuff, like the comments in line there and the question marks. It's pretty sweet. That is super cool. Yeah, I know. I actually did debate that. Chris would just be like, hey, remove that. Because I'm lazy. Man. That's super neat. Yeah, I'm not sure on the coding side, though, to be totally honest. I need to probably put some reps in on it, but I feel like, I don't know. Build me the best version of Make you've ever built having elements of Tetris mixed in. Put it in a file called make.py. So like even any sort of coding here seems kind of slow. And I actually had a few simple things that I've ran with Python, which should honestly, go back a year ago, I was okay with models failing and not working out the gate. But models are so good now. Anytime you're doing a single Python file, I just expect that to work in one go. Because if that's already failing for, uninitialized variables or unreferenced or functions that don't exist, imagine putting it in a bigger context of an actual code base. I can't imagine it getting better when the simplicity and complexity is so low. I can't imagine that being good in a big code base. So I think to be honest with you though, I'm not a big fan of o4-mini in Roo code anyway, or using it for coding. So maybe o4-mini will be better, but maybe it's still just not good enough for me. Yeah, there's definitely some API stuff going on there with that connection reset there. Yeah, all right. So I think I'm gonna definitely do initial impressions. I was not expecting o4-mini. Very, very happy with the pricing of them. I'm gonna go pull that up here because I have the pricing of o4-mini right here. Very good pricing. And the model's probably going to be good at some things that I need it for. Like I use o3-mini right now in production, and they've already removed o3-mini from the web UI, so I imagine it won't be long before it gets deprecated from the API side. Probably 6 months from now, but most likely I'll have to move all my current workloads to o4-mini. And I did test a few of them just to see if they were working in o4-mini, and it seems to be fine. Now in Roo code, I'm a little disappointed, and this might just literally be a rolling out thing. They're at capacity, but people in chat were saying that o4-mini was fast for them. But I'm running on OpenAI's. I got my API key in there, and it is incredibly slow. Like I could not use this on a daily basis with it being this slow. This is like super slow, and I'm a tier 4 API user, so I'm not like low tier. I've worked my way up the tiers a decent amount. And o3 honestly is impressive. I don't think it's a model that you would use for coding though. And the price of it is just not great for any sort of API usage. $10 and $40. I mean, you'd be blowing so much freaking money trying to run this in any sort of agentic coding tool. The only way I would maybe consider it is if I used the architect mode and used o3 just for the architect mode, and it was so much better. Like it would need to be 10 times better than what Gemini 2.5 Pro is to justify that the results down the line would actually get better. But I don't think that's going to work. But we did actually test quite a few chats that I think were very interesting. Let me go back to show you some of those real quick since you're just joining. The really interesting one to me was this one. So I gave it a giant image. So this is 8,600 and some wide. Let me actually go pull up the size again so I don't misspeak. But it's a giant file. My hope was that it would do some of the. It's 8,600 by 6,063 to be exact. And then it went through. It did run for a lot, and then it stopped. And I told it to keep going, hoping that it would, and it did. So then it ran and kind of like zooms in on parts of the images to read what it is, and it broke down everything that was in that diagram. And I was just kind of like doing a side-by-side comparison of the diagram, which you can kind of see here. So if you look up here, this is the organization which connects to the loyalty program. It did make some stuff up that I'm not totally sure. I think it's like going from memory. because it keeps putting like an NFT table in there that just does not exist in this thing at all. And I'll show you what it did there. It literally makes no sense why that's in there. But organization goes to loyalty plan and budget history. And what it ended up doing down here is generating a full ERD from that. So I'll show you the thing that it kind of made up, which I still don't get. Got like a reward NFT. This is actually a valid table in the wrong spot, but all of the other things are connected really well. So going through this and kind of, I know the data model pretty well because I work with this a lot. And everything's connected at first glance, like perfectly. We've got all the things. So that was impressive. And watching it do that was really, really incredible. And thinking about this like long term, its ability to like take a gigantic image and kind of move around and analyze parts of it is just, that's going to be very fascinating. And I could see, I've got giant Figma boards. I was doing this yesterday. So I have a Figma board that we were doing some brainstorming for a kickoff on a client. And taking that and putting it somewhere else is a very manual process. I would love to be able to just export that entire canvas, have O3 run through, pull all of that content off for me, so I don't have to go through and manually do anything. Like it seems very obvious in that it could go in that direction. Now in Figma you can kind of copy and paste things out of there text-wise, but it's not super great format. Anyway, it is giving me a lot of ideas on how to potentially use this. And then on the other side, this is more for personal. Honestly, this is just more personal stuff that we deal with. So our application that we're building, it's really building what we call the AI retention team for e-commerce. So we do a lot of AI around orchestrating the entire workflow of planning your entire month of campaigns, looking at all your historic data, measuring what's working, what's not working. But one of the things we do at the end is we help you generate the actual email. So I was doing some email analysis, and this is some of the best that I've seen models do so far, because what we have to do is we have to basically take an image of their current email, break it down into components, and then rebuild that so we can get a similar structure and layout. So they're not coming in with nothing. So anyway, the O3 did a really interesting job at breaking that down and the different components. And I bet you if I gave it our list of global components with the definition, that would work really well too. But going back to code, this is painful. Like, look how slow this is moving. This is a snake game, and it's been running for minutes already. I don't know how long, but it's been way too long. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, giving it some competitive coding problems. I always wonder, though, how much of them are trained on that. So it's one of those things where it's so tough. Oh. Oh, that's so fast. Oh my gosh. It did it. I told it to combine Snake and Tetris. Super cool, actually. It's too fast for me to actually control. I don't have that kind of reflexes. But it's super neat. Oh my gosh. I actually kind of I wish I could stay alive long enough to see what it does. I'm sorry. I suck at this. I should just tell it to slow it down, or I should go find and code where to slow it down. Where is the speed? Journey stored speed, velocity, movement, drop interval, FPS. Probably could change. Come on, FPS. Where's that used? Handle events, draw, update. Drop interval. Let's just slow that down by half. Wait, that might not be the right one, actually. That might be the actual. I'm going to make it big just to see if it does anything. No. That's not the right one. All right, can you make the snake move slower, please? You can move. I bet it's based on this FPS, to be honest with you, at least with my thinking. Let's draw. No. Oh, cool. Yeah, I think it's probably the FPS too. That's exactly what it changed. We were right. Oh yeah, there we go. I wonder if the pieces are gonna fall like oh, I did not mean to do that. What's it changing now? Are they just gonna stack on top of each other? Oh, so I bet you I gotta pick up another thing. Keep wanting to turn back on myself. I suck. Turn off. Okay, there we go. I wanted to see if I picked up a second piece, if it would automatically start dropping. Man, I'm about to give up to this because I am not good. I probably kind of want to speed up the dropping. I want to make it wider too, I think. So it's not so. Circle around. So it looks like it's just going to all drop in that same spot. I was kind of hoping that that would, I wonder if there's a way to control that. Oh, that was dangerous. Assuming that would kill me. That's super neat, though. That's kind of neat. So O3 is by far better than O4. They're significantly different. I need to actually run it. So this is my code base. I need to actually run them in my code base to actually run some tasks on it. See, I'm probably not going to run O3 to be honest. It's just too expensive. But I'll run o4-mini to see how that does. Before I can actually make a good judgment on it. But that was impressive. I basically told it to create a game that combines Tetris and Snake, making it the best one ever. And it did it, and it loaded. But again, that's a very simple one file thing, small. I would expect models to be able to do that, but it was kind of cool. I always like trying to combine multiple things together and ideas that it probably wasn't trained on. The other thing that I wanted to do really fast, and then I probably need to jump back to. Let me go find. Coding problems. I want to find a. And that is not a good place. Let's see if we can find like a good competitive coding problem that we can do. Go to my leak code. I'm gonna find something very hard. Those are too easy. Here's hard. All right, so let's take a look at what these are gonna do. Let me go back to here. This is not a good. And change this to o4-mini high. Give it the best chance it's got. I want to see what this does because the total number of elements. This problem is basically giving two sorted arrays, num 1 and 2, of size m and n, respectively return the median of the two sorted arrays. And this should be the runtime complexity. It should be a logarithmic runtime. A binary search over m to n. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly how I was thinking about it. Let's see if that actually runs. Actually, I need it to put it in. I should have gave it this format. Put it in this format, please. Wow, o4-mini is just running slow. Everywhere. Even in the web browser. What do you like better about o4-mini? I haven't tested enough to know. Yeah, O3 is out for API as well. And just to go back to that real quick, the cost of it is $10 on the input per million input and $40 on the output. So very expensive. Not GPT 4.5 expensive, but beyond what I would want to pay for a model. So what would that be? That'd be a little over 3 times more expensive than Claude on the input, and a little over so what would it be? $15, $30, so not quite 3 times on the output. Most of my cost though is always on the input, although this is the reasoning model, so you probably do get a lot more output tokens. But the cached input is actually not bad at 250. So I was thinking about this for code base. Yeah, I'm also curious about that too. On making games on simple bench questions, and it has been faster for me. I think it's superior coding model by a mile. It's the model with custom system prompts. Yes, an image generation in O3 is a whole different thing. Oh, really? I haven't actually done image generation yet. Okay. I have way too many windows open at this moment. Way too many open. I need to start closing some of this stuff. This is crazy. I probably have 80 browser tabs open. All right, put you over here. Test you. Grab this hard problem here. And let's go ahead and see if this will work. Dang, that's so cool. Man, I tell you what, I used to spend hours working on these things, like trying to perfect them. And I used to feel so good when I would actually get. I don't know if you guys remember the site Code Fights, but I used to use Code Fights a lot. And actually, you go head to head with people and fight. Like basically, you'd be given a problem and you got to try to beat the other person. And I got ranked pretty high on there. But there are always people in there that are just fast. Like they were crazy, crazy fast. And the Code Fights also had this flaw where they would they'd score you on how little characters you had in your code. So it kind of pushed you to like really make your code unreadable. But regardless of all that, like the fact that I could just put this into an AI and have it spit out this hard problem. This one to me is classified as hard, but I don't think it's actually that hard. But it's still crazy because I probably would have spent, back in the day, 10, 15 minutes trying to solve a particular problem like this and trying to like perfect it. Insane to me. Yeah, we need R2 big time. Big time. Yeah, so the other thing I'd say is o4-mini is just really slow right now. So when this actually gets worked out and they get the API speed working for me a little bit better, I am going to put this one through the paces more. It's just so slow. I wonder if this has web search built in. I care about this a lot. Yeah, so here's where I'm at. I'm on tier 4. I'm almost to tier 5, I think. Yeah. Yeah, 100% O4 is the coding model. Yeah, there's no doubt. The only thing that I was thinking about for O3 is putting it in the architect config and root code. But again, it would need to be 3 times better, maybe even 4 times better, probably 4 times better than with the output of Claude or Gemini 2.5 Pro. Because if I were to run that in my architect mode here, like the output of this would just need to be extraordinary. Wait a minute. I've never changed this in this particular config. It's not showing up in there yet. Dang. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I still am in. Losing my mind. Oh my guys. Too tired. I was up too late last night. I swear in code mode. Yep, I still kept it on open router. I must have not hit save when I switched it before. That is so dumb. But it's not even in there yet. I think root code needs to update. I swear I saw they did that though. I wonder if I just need to close this browser and reopen it. Now I've locked it up. Cool. Oh, that's cool. I've locked up everything. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to type that in there, even though it doesn't show up. I think I need to close all my IDEs here. I have definitely locked it. Go Visual Studio Code and there we go. I have too many open. Okay, so let's go back in now to here. Code. I should definitely restart everything now. Oh wait, there might be another update. There is. I just didn't get this update before. That was what was happening. That didn't seem good. So what I do for a living is I'm a I'm a CTO of a startup right now, which kind of is meaningless when your team is 6 people, to be honest with you. But I did come from, I would say, big tech. The last company I was part of, I was a director of analytics there, where I had, uh, when I joined the company, we were like 250 people. When I left, we were thousands of people. But I ended up managing a couple hundred in my organization across different countries. But what I found is I've always been an engineer's heart at heart. Like I started in the game industry, spent 7 years in the game industry, worked on games like Batman Arkham Asylum, Dungeon Defenders, some games you probably never heard of, like that I really liked, like Burger Time World Tour, Scary Girl. I worked on the Kick-Ass game. So I really loved the video game industry, got burnt out, left that and started moving into web and mobile tech and started my own company at that point for a few years. And then at the same time, I did a few startups. So I've helped start a company that was in the home delivery of alcohol space, and ended up like getting that getting some funding for that. Did some VC pitches, all that kind of jazz, and then this is crazy. I might just have to kill this again. But anyway, then eventually I started my own company. That got acquired. When that got acquired, I left to join Encino, which was in the fintech space. We took that one public in 2022. And I left then to start the company that I'm at now with one of the co-founders from Encino. And so I pretty much code nonstop. And because it's a startup, I'm probably working way too many hours. But this is the company that we're working on right now. We have about 200 e-commerce stores that currently use us, and 17 or 18, I would say, we're just rolling out like our AI retention team, we're calling it. 17 to 18 of them are using that, and we're getting really good feedback on that. So that's sort of where we're going in that direction. Dude, I have totally hosed VS Code. All right, let's see if it works now. Does anyone know the fix for the limit exceeded for free? What API are you on? Just Play, out of curiosity. Are you in like an open router? Got to be like an open router endpoint that you're hitting, right? Thanks, Apocalypse. I appreciate that. Yeah, I honestly, this may not be this may not be true for everyone, but when I got into management, I don't want to say I was good at it, but I really sucked at the politics side. I'm gonna be honest with you, because at the end of the day, I remember sitting in meetings and we'd be sitting there talking about things that we should be building, and the whole time I was thinking I could just build this in an hour and we wouldn't have to have 10 meetings to decide if we should build it or not. Let's just freaking build it. So I am not the best manager type, to be totally honest with you. I work really well in environments where we're just getting stuff done and building. Like I'm just a builder at heart. So I don't know, meetings kill me. Like the politics that happen as companies get bigger just absolutely are gut wrenching. I hate it so much. Yeah, so unfortunately, Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental, there really isn't much you can get around from it. The one thing you can do is if you set up a billing account in Google, which is actually more convoluted than you would think. So if you go into AI Studio and you hit Get API Key, you can down here see the API keys you currently have, or you can hit this Create API Key. You will need to basically set up a billing account. So if I go to, so this one, for example, I do not have a billing account. This is one I was doing to test, was it Lovable? No, it was Firebase. the Firebase Studio thing. So I probably should delete that one now. But anyway, this one actually I have billing set up on. If you set up billing, you're not competing with, you're not going through OpenRouter's limits. You're using your own limits on it. So if I like go to my billing console here, I'm actually I've been trying to be careful with my billing. Let me see what I'm up to now. Not too bad. You can, here's the dangerous part though. If you change accidentally to Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview, you are going to pay for it. And I've had people message me with hundreds of dollars in API charges that they accidentally switched to the wrong model for a little bit. So you just got to be very careful when you do this. I sort of don't like this about Google. Like I love the put credits in and use it down strategy better for management of it. But at the same time, this is probably the way more and more companies are going to go. So I don't know. But if you set this up, you do get a little bit better limits in my experience, because I run the experimental. It's still slow though. I think it's like 2 per minute, and you have like a limit of 50 or 100 a day. You'd have to look at the exact limits. But that'd be the way to do it. It's just very dangerous if you do this because of the way they do the billing. Man, Entropy, I was in heaven when Gemini 2.5 Pro was experimental was in the API. I literally I was just cranking through the context. Man, those were the good days, and it was only a couple weeks ago. So Zumba Up says, don't you think that right now is ideal for that? Just build it thing. Using AI tools has made me quite academia and got back into dev, primarily a mix of web and games tech. Yeah, I do think the just build it thing is legit. Like I had my daughter sit here and do some vibe coding using Cursor. So much fun. Like she's 12. And like I hate the term vibe coding because I do not take it seriously at all, to be totally honest with you. But for people like my daughter that just wants to create things, I mean, that's what it's for, honestly. It's not going to go to production, not anytime soon anyway. It's not like I wouldn't just ship what she built, because it's probably going to be, it could be hacked to all, forever. Her API keys are probably on the client side with the way it codes. It's probably got outdated libraries that have security flaws in it. But it is really neat to see people that don't have the ability to code to be able to create stuff. So I do admire it from that perspective. But yeah, if you try to go to cloud or the console for Google, you almost need a PhD to understand how to navigate this thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, like this thing, AWS is just so much simpler for me to navigate. Anytime that I come here directly to try to find billing, I feel like I spend 5 minutes just fumbling around to eventually land on this page to get to my billing account. I know some of you may be experts on it, which is why I took you here, because this is my shortcut. I know how to get to it immediately from the AI Studio link here. I agree. I think vibe coding with actual program experience is like, I think it's probably the wrong term for it, honestly. Because I think if you actually know how to code, you're going to talk to the AI differently. And you're going to kind of guide it to be more surgical or strategic about how it does stuff, which I think is, it's going to ultimately end up in better software, because you're going to be able to see things, stop it. You're able to say, don't use that library, use something else. You're just be able to pick things up a little bit quicker. Yeah, totally, Daniel. You could totally still vibe code something into production, as long as you put the right type of things around it. Like you check it, do the code reviews around it, especially if you have a good testing suite. Probably have to do manual testing. I still think you could, and I bet you a good percentage of code that's going out now is vibe coded into production. And I actually kind of would love to see an analysis of that one day. Yes, JK, that's the other problem too, is you'll rack up costs in Google and they won't show up until like the next day you check it. So you're like, and it's a very delayed billing process. I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit bummed that O4 is so slow because I wanted to run it through my automated test suite to see if it do it, but it would literally take hours for it to complete. So I'm gonna wait for it to speed up a little bit, and I think I'm gonna probably pop off here in a minute. But I appreciate you guys all joining me, and if you guys aren't in the Discord already, you should jump into it and continue the conversation there because I think it will be interesting to see what everyone thinks. In particular, what I care about is if you like a model, I'd love to know what language you're using with it, because the more I'm learning about this, the more I realize models just have a lot of gaps in each model might be good at different languages. And I'd love to figure out a better way to kind of analyze that long term. Let me see here. I'm going to try to find. Yeah, here is the link if you're not in Discord already. Actually, I'm going to have to open it up in here. That stinks. There's a bug in the Discord client. I have too many things. White people. There we go. Yeah, you know, Entropy, the one thing I was thinking about is in 2012, one of the vanity metrics that companies used to use was the number of employees you had. Because I remember going to conferences and people talking about, you know, I raised $3, $4, $5 million. I have employees. I have 35 employees. You know, 1,000 employees, whatever ends up being in the companies. I wonder if the vanity metric going forward is how you can do so much more with less, because I think that's going to switch, because if you can build a big company and you have 10 people on staff, that is phenomenal. So it's, I don't know. I think the vanity of company size that founders used to use, I think it's going to go away. That's my personal opinion on it. Gemini 2.5 Pro Dom. That is probably my #1 model for coding right now. But I was saying this before, every language behaves very differently. So you kind of need to test it in your own sort of workflow there. But for me, it's Gemini 2.5 Pro. Claude 3.7 Thinking is a phenomenal model. If you can control it, sometimes it'll do little weird stuff. And then I would say Claude 3.7 and 3.5 are kind of neck and neck with me. And then after that, I start putting it into the GPT 4.1 series. I think those are, however you want to count those, you know, those would be like third tier for me. And I'll have to see kind of where o4-mini falls. First attempts with it, I think I like GPT 4.1 better for coding. And it could simply be because of the speed of it. But the quality that I get out of GPT 4.1, which was Optimus Alpha, I just really like that model. It's a really cost-effective model. That's my problem with 3.7, which is why I've mainly used Gemini 2.5 Pro. Here, I'll just show you my kind of setup that I currently have. Let me find augment. I hate that you do that. So I run a couple different modes. For the main one that I've been testing, which I'm doing a report on, is this micromanager mode. This one is running Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview. This is kind of my orchestrator. And then if you look at my intern, I'm running Llama 3.1 Nematron. This is a reasoning model, but it's free. I really like that model a lot. My junior one, so this is all by cost, right? So Gemini or GPT 4.1 Mini, it's very cheap. So I have it do like junior level tasks. And then mid-level is going to be the full GPT 4.1 currently. And then for senior, I'm going actually back up to Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview, because to me, that's the best model for coding for my stuff. And then designer, there's no other model in my mind that's as good as Claude 3.7 as it's like designing stuff. So taking and in web, I'm doing web tech for most of this, where it'll take, I have an MCP set up which basically pulls in all of my branding guide information. So it can go through and here's my resources. So you can pull in my branded guide, just the colors, typography. I even have some documentation around Vue, my UI, the components that I currently have available, how to actually do API templating, all that stuff. Anyway, all of these are available, and I have that particular mode set up to actually call and pull in that information in my repository, and it works so good. Claude is just a killer at that, but it can be expensive because it's Claude. And then my last mode is Researcher, which I use Gemini 2.0 Flash because I talked about this a little bit earlier, but Augment has this killer, like absolutely killer. I wonder if I have any history in this one. I don't, but they have a killer context engine, and I'm missing that in root code. And I've been trying to figure out a way to use a cheap model with a lot of context to go and like pull a bunch of files into the context of it, and then use the micromanager to send questions to it to get answers back. And the results are mixed currently. I'd say definitely not anywhere near as good as Augment. So I may abandon that route, but I'm still playing with it to see if I can tune it. Oh, I can't wait to see the evals from root code. That's gonna be sweet. I did change. I got out of DeepSeek R1 from Architect. I think Gemini 2.5 is just better than DeepSeek R1. DeepSeek R1 is cheaper, so if you're looking for the cheaper option, definitely use DeepSeek R1. But my problem is the speed of R1 drives me nuts. And I think I'm just spoiled, honestly, because you go back when DeepSeek V3 first came out, no one was using it. I had like a couple days there where no one was even talking about it, and I was just hammering it. I was in heaven. Like I had the API, there was no errors, and every time I try it now, it's so freaking slow. I can't, even I tried other providers, it's just so slow. I did not see OpenAI is going to spend $3 billion on Windsurf. What the heck? Gemini's thinking seems dynamic, while R1 always gives long thought. That's very true. I actually struggle. I don't even know how to. You guys have seen those Reddit posts that come out where people say, is it just me, or is Claude doing worse today? Or is it just me, or is Gemini 2.5 doing worse today? But there are days where I have test suites that I run for production. There are days where I have workloads that go through Claude, and it'll be flawless, like 100% pass. And then another day will happen, and it'll be a 10% pass. And what ends up happening is Claude goes to like shortcut structured output. So I basically, in the prompt, I tell it, always return the entire content. Don't summarize, but no matter what I tell it, on those days, it just gets lazy. So again, I don't know how to actually reveal, like share this with everyone, but totally. But there is, in my testing, there is proof. Maybe it's not proof because there's still a non-deterministic model, but I feel like there's evidence to suggest that there is some sort of toggle on the back end of Claude where they're toning down the amount of processing that happens in some way, or making it do something, like limit something, because there's some days that it literally goes from 100% pass rate to 10% pass rate on the same test that I'm running. It's crazy. I know those like posts annoy people, but the problem is it feels subjective because the models are non-deterministic. But I do think there's literally something there that they're changing on some of these models. I don't have proof other than what I'm sharing with you. And somebody would tell me that's just non-deterministic and that's going to happen. But I don't know how I can go and have 100%, and then 10%, and then 2 days later, 100%. And it's consistent too on those days. I'll run them back to back. It'll be 10%, 12%. You know, it's not always exactly 10%, but it'll be bad. And then I run the next one and it's like 95%, 100% the next day. So there's something going on there. Yeah, it could be A/B testing. Yeah, it also could be time of day, because I've actually thought about that too, where I should start tracking when I'm running those test suites for time of day, because it could totally be like they're scaling down compute or something there. Yes, late night is amazing. When I'm coding at night, all the APIs are fast, everything seems much better. That's cool that you've seen that too, Juan, because I actually, every time I see one of those posts on Reddit, you always see the people going in there like yelling at people about it. But the problem is none of us have a clear-cut way to prove that it's worse, but we feel it being worse. And it just feels like we're complaining or whining. So, I mean, I don't post stuff like that on Reddit, but I always get a kick out of those, because some of the days I see that, I'm like, yeah, I've got kind of evidence that Claude is not itself today, because it's failing all of my tests that it would normally pass. Yeah, I have a dream of having my own uh, rack in my house to be able to run all the models that I want to run. Uh, and I really hope some of the smaller, like 250 billion parameter models, get to the point where it just can do everything I want it to do with tool calling and stuff like that. Someone asked, do I still use my shortened prompts or maintain those? Yes, I do. I use those very particularly for, if I show you, I have a couple. I have my coder short rules. I also have a couple that I'm working on, which are an ask mode one and a code mode one. And I use these when I'm using local models. And there are some local models that I like. QWQ works really good. Quincoder 2.5, 14b works okay. So I start using these when context limit really, really, really matters. And if for some reason I'm doing something simple, where I'm just, if I'm in code mode, for example, and I'm going to be using, say I want to use Claude and it's expensive, there's really no reason to do that. You can just go to coder short rules. So you can see I was running Mistral 2503. That was my config there. But you can literally just use Gemini 2.5 Pro or Claude, save a crap ton of tokens and cost, and use the shortened prompt. I'm literally, just to show you guys, like the prompt difference here is insane. So this is what mode am I in here? I am in the, okay, hold on. I need to set that one up in this config. Hold on a second. Yeah. So this is the latest format. I need to update it in that one. So if I go into OpenAI token counter, it's not going to be perfect because every model is going to do this slightly different, but you can get you kind of an idea. 708 tokens for that prompt. Now, if I go to code mode, and let's go ahead and preview this prompt. Wish they had a copy button, but they do not. $13,760 tokens. Like, you're paying a decent amount more, 13,000 extra tokens. And remember, every time, especially with Gemini 2.5 Pro, every time you send a message in root code, it sends all the previous ones again. And Gemini 2.5 doesn't have caching. So you're sending that 13,000 that was seeded over and over and over and over again every time like one of the steps happens in there. So that's why you see your API like up just so high. I think there's a lot to be done there. It's just time on like testing it all that really makes it tough. Yeah, Chris, you're totally right. That is what I run into a lot, is the context size. I have, the most I can get is around 25K context locally, which is still not anywhere near enough with what I've got. Man, you can get 128K with dual 3090s. That's amazing. Yeah, it definitely needs tweaking. I tweaked it just the other day to try to improve it. If you guys come up with a better version too, feel free to like share that, because this is one I've been working on too for like the intern mode to try to simplify that one. And I haven't totally released this yet, but this is it's a little outdated, but this is sort of what I'm working on for my micromanager. So I was kind of starting to release this stuff in here. And actually, if you guys want access to that, like I said, it's definitely anytime root code updates something too, it can break, and you have to kind of tweak that. But I try to keep it up to date the best I can because I run it so often. All right, everyone, I better call it. Appreciate you guys hanging out. That was a ton of fun. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.